You are now entering the box. Welcome back to Inside the Box. Today we got Ben Taylor with TaylorMade.
How you doing?
What's up, brother?
Oh, you know.
Breckenridge. Sorry. Was getting a couple trades in there before we got started.
Okay.
I was out in Breckenridge. It was awesome. We got dumped on the first day. The night I got there, we got dumped on. So the next day had some awesome snow, and then the very last day was awesome.
Okay.
Got to do the highest lift in North America. They got the highest lift there. Yeah, it takes you up to 13,000 feet.
Oh my goodness. No, what state is Breckenridge in?
Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was
Nice.
It was awesome, man. I love snowboarding.
Looked like it was fun.
Yeah, nice to get a break. Not very many of them,
You
but
got to give yourself some time to unplug.
I know. So TaylorMade Landworks, baby.
Yeah,
How's it been going?
it's been going.
Man, you've done some freaking cool projects, that's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to do those, you know.
Yeah. When did you get started?
As a business or just in the industry?
Let's say industry first.
Industry, I've been in it for, 15 years now?
Nice.
So,
Were you working for somebody originally?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started
Got
from the ground up.
Got your feet wet, learned the trades.
And then, did that for that company for about 10 years. And I was running projects, project foreman for them. And then 2020, split.
Yeah. Was it did you start your business right away?
Yes. I would say within probably 3 to 4 months after leaving that company, I did.
Okay.
Because it wasn't my plan to become a business owner. This was never my plan. But I had left under pretenses that,
Just weren't happy? Not a good situation?
There were some things going on there that, I couldn't put my name or, stand behind. And things did not get resolved. And so, left there and then put my application into all these other landscape companies and, walked in with a really heavy resume, Out of the 10 years, 8 of those years I was running projects.
Yeah.
So I'm walking in with a pretty heavy resume. And the companies that I applied to were coming in very, very disrespectful with the starting wage. It was
especially based on your experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm coming in, like I said, with a heavy resume and numbers were matching up right.
Yeah.
So I'm just hanging around some of my friends, and somebody was like, "Well, why don't you just do it yourself?" And at the time, everything was shut down. Country was shut down.
I was gonna say it's a tough time to do it.
The landscape industry was considered. Well, certain parts of the landscape industry were considered essential workers. So somebody said, "Get on Nextdoor," and I had no idea what the Nextdoor app was.
Yeah.
Downloaded it, made an account, put a post out. Kind of just a quick detail of like, "Hey, this is what I offer." Within 24 hours, I had like 8 people contact me on there, and they were all paid jobs, and then it
was like a tough time but a good time at the same time.
It was,
because people had money to spend on
shit.
They're all at home trying to
sitting there just looking at it, and they're getting these stimmy checks coming in, and so it was actually probably a good time to start a business, at least in my industry,
for like the remodeling, like landscape, like any of that stuff. When people are sitting at home,
and it literally blossomed from there. I was in one neighborhood, and people were walking by watching. And
what was your first job? Was it pretty basic?
Basic. I had to really swallow my pride and ego because I went from building really big, elaborate outdoor living spaces down to like, hey, I need some hostas put in the ground, or hey, I just need this small little plant bed put in. So I think my very first project, it was like a timber raised bed, like a flower bed made out of timbers.
Yeah.
And that's what kicked it all off.
Huh.
Yeah. And then some people walked walking in the neighborhood. They're like, "Oh, hey, you got a contact info?" And I didn't have a business card. I didn't even have a name for my business. I literally started this out of desperation.
I can do this if you need it. Yeah.
I mean, it literally started out of desperation because I had a mortgage. I've had, and I still have sole custody of my son. And it just, a lot of pressure, I got to make something happen. And so, 5 years later, we're here now.
Yeah. And man, I always say, like, I started my business before I had kids, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck people start businesses when they have kids.
I think that's actually probably what really helped propel me.
Yeah.
Because if it was just me, who knows what I would have done,
Yeah, you could have been a lot lazier.
I could have, even not that, but I probably would have settled.
Yeah.
I probably would have just settled for whatever offer that these other companies would have gave me and jumped right in, or just gone a completely different route.
Yeah.
But I feel like since I did have a child that was reliant on me, like that, like I had to do the absolute best for him,
I see that.
To keep a roof over his head, plus the pressure of me having sole custody of him. Like, the state doesn't rule in the favor of a father.
Right.
And if they do, there's a massive magnifying glass on us.
Yeah.
And the first little mess up, it can all go away.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure.
How old was your son at the time?
He would have been 4.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just used to work so much. Like, and even now I still do, but I make it like such more of a point to like not work the weekends, be home, be there in the morning, be home at night. Yeah. And I just can't imagine doing what I did when I started, like working 12, 14-hour days and having kids. Like, I mean, granted I was home, so I mean, maybe it would have been a little bit nice to be home with them at the same time, but then I would have been distracted.
I mean, you're there, but you're not present,
Yeah. But taking that risk too,
yeah.
Like that's a big risk when you have a family to provide for.
Yep.
And you're starting a business, like making no money.
Yeah. I always put it this way. My first year, I got a tax return.
Yeah.
I got it back. I got money back. So if that tells you how the first year went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
didn't have to pay anything. That's always the worst.
Yeah. So ever since then, no. Whew.
I know you got to set some of that money aside for taxes. Jeez.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they're not favorable to small business owners in Illinois either.
No, they're not. But
it's craziness.
They got to have us still out here making the money,
Yeah, and blow it on bullshit.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah. So yeah, that's essentially how the whole business started.
You said 5 years ago, about?
This will be my 5th year.
5th year, nice.
Yeah, going in.
What was one of your biggest challenges getting started? What'd you say?
Biggest challenges, I would say, just getting my name out there.
Yeah.
Just getting known. Yeah. I mean, it's all learning. Every day I'm still learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a constant, like, how do I get my name out here? How do I spread my name out?
Yeah.
How do I distinguish myself apart from these other companies out here?
Did you, one thing that I see that really almost has to be done, some cases not, but like early on, did you find that you had to charge a lot less to like get the jobs and just get your name out there?
I left a ridiculous amount of money on the table just to get a job. And that was, I think you touched on it good, because I was about to say knowing my numbers and not knowing my numbers was a really big disadvantage to me in those first couple of years, because I was just throwing a number out just to get the project,
this sounds good.
Right?
This is worth it to me.
Yeah, at the time. But then
get a little.
The more you acquire, bring in employees, more equipment, trucks. Trucks are breaking down. Everything turns into a money pit. So
I feel like it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I was just telling, I had somebody on yesterday and we were having kind of the same conversation, and I was like, I used to charge like nothing for videos. Like, it'd be like either I'd do it for free because I just thought it'd be good exposure because of the business I was working with, or like $100, $200. But, I was creating, I was, one, getting my name out there, but two, at the time, since it was such a new industry, I was creating a demand. because once other businesses saw a business posting videos and doing what needed to be done on social media, like, oh shit, I need that, and nobody was privy to that in Springfield at the time. But yeah, I think it's, I mean, obviously I think it depends on your business, but yeah, you just got to get some of those jobs under your belt and, build a portfolio, especially in like what you do or what we do. Like you got to be able to show what you can do. You cannot just tell somebody like, oh, this is going to look amazing. Trust me.
Yeah. And then that was another challenge, is trying to translate what was up here in my head for a design onto paper.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't even know how to, draw a blueprint.
Yeah.
I'd scratch something on a piece of paper and be like, this is what we can do. Or I'd have to go
then
find a catalog.
You got to hope they have a good imagination.
Yeah. So that was another challenge as well.
Yeah.
But now, we're incorporating 3D designs and all that into everything we do. So.
Yeah. How's that been, trying to stay on top of, your advancements in the industry, learning new programs, like all that stuff? Like I know personally, it's very hard for me to stay on the advancements in the programs because I just don't use them as much. Like my team's using them more than me now.
Yeah.
So I rely on them to pay attention to it and stay on top of it.
Track of it. Yeah.
But in your situation, like you had to learn. Was it a tough thing to learn the program?
The design?
Yeah.
It actually wasn't.
Really?
Believe it or not. So I've got a little bit of experience in previous years in graphic design. I ran the Photoshop. I'm on Affinity now.
So you're familiar with computers and some of that stuff?
Yeah.
Made it a little easier.
But really just honing in. I took the winters because we're not, we don't work in the wintertime. So I really focused on, I think it was like my third year in. And I found this software that was recommended by other people in my industry. Mm-hmm. Downloaded it. I think I did a demo first, and then just honed in, zeroed in, and learned it in one winter.
Yeah. I remember when you were, that was just in the last year or two, right?
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
I remember you posting some stuff, messing with the software.
Yeah, I was just putting out like mock-up designs I was working on. Yeah.
That's fun. When I was younger, I used to use this shitty architecture program, and I would just design houses. Yeah. And it was so fun. It was like so bad, the program, but at the time, it was super advanced. It was cool. It was fun to just draw designs for houses. I used to want to be an architect when I was a kid. Yeah. I remember in like one of the enrichment classes or whatever, we had to interview somebody and put this whole project together for what we wanted to be when we grew up. Mm-hmm. Actually, the person I interviewed worked at the place right down the street, CMT, I think it is. It's right down there.
Yeah,
it's right down there by that Shell.
Yeah, by Shell. Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened to that. I strayed from that eventually, but
look where you're at now.
Yeah, no, it's fun though. It's cool. The technology for, all industries. It's very fascinating what it allows, how it affects industry nowadays.
Yeah, and that's, even the 3D aspect of design in our industry is really starting to get some traction.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like a blueprint is for the installer.
Right.
The 3D version is for the client, right?
Yeah.
Because not every client knows, they can't sit there and visualize a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to visualize a 3D because it's right there already visualized for them.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been using those to go into a sale.
Yeah. Help sell the job.
It literally, I lead with the 3D design now.
Yeah.
And I've had nothing but really, really good positive feedback.
Nice. So, well, that's awesome, man. It's a lot, man. I don't think people realize, like, when you're a business owner, staying on top of all that stuff. And, there's even stuff now that, my team asks me for, like programs or whatever it is. They're like, can we get this or that? And I'm like, all right, well, tell me why.
I get it.
How's this going to help us? Because it's going to cost money.
Yep. And a lot of this new processes and technology and things that are in my industry, I'm learning them from groups that I'm part of, in specific to my industry.
Like on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, so there's a couple groups that are private, groups that it's you know, you got to pay a monthly subscription on those. There's some that are free out there. Most of those are just a bunch of noise,
right?
You know,
let all the riffraff in.
Yeah, yeah, all the extra.
Yeah,
but no, there is some really, really good groups that I'm a part of.
That's good.
Have just brought so much more substance.
Are they mostly through social media?
Yeah.
Or
yep.
How did you discover those? Just from different things you've been to?
Yeah,
or?
just different events, and then just advertising on whether it be YouTube, social media. They'll advertise their group, and then like one of them is called The Herd, the Mastermind, and I seen him come out with a video where it was like really basic. He was literally just chipping a retaining wall block that he had just cut with a saw, and he was chipping the cut just to texturize it to make it look like it wasn't even a cut. And I'm like,
that's cool.
That's the detail that I was doing and still am doing. You know? So I was like, okay, who's this guy? And I kind of went down that rabbit hole. And, 2 years later, I've been a part of that group, and really, really, really good substance in that group, from beginners all the way to vets.
Is it just like the people that run it, they just give a lot of feedback and training stuff, or is it?
So it's him with his training and the videos and stuff that they put out, but also it's just the community as well. Like I said, like there's beginners all the way to people that have been in this industry 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And there is no weird ego stuff going on in there. Like the guy that's just starting off hardscapes can ask the most retarded question or stupid question, and it's not going to get looked down on or chastised or anything. Like, no, we all come together and like, okay, boom, 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 boom. This is how you do that. Here's the answer. And it's everything from marketing to the install and everything in between.
Nice.
Employee management, client management. You name it, whatever topic. And then every month we have these mastermind meetings on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
And those are for so there's different levels of subscribers, right? So that's more the elite.
Gotcha.
And
that's cool.
That's really where the nuts and bolts really get addressed, and worked out.
Yeah, you're able to have some mentors from people that have been doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool,
and
man.
then we can always mentor the guys that are just coming in as well, and make sure they don't make some of the same mistakes we made in the past and in the future. And it's to the point now where Dan Preston, who owns and runs that group, is built a training facility up in Wisconsin.
Nice.
And so we're all going up there for the inaugural opening of it.
That's cool.
But it's basically an entire warehouse that is inside has been converted into a job site, so to speak.
An outdoor area kind of.
So then you'll go in, and I can send my guys up there now and do a whole 3 to 5 day training course. Yeah.
That's great.
And so it's helping the industry a lot, I feel. And there's other training facilities around the U.S. This one, the reason why I'm attracted to this one is that there's not a whole lot of fluff. There's not a whole lot of just extra bullshit. It's right down to like I said, the nuts and bolts.
Nice.
And it's very focused.
That's awesome.
Very honed in. So it not only helps me, but then I pass all this on to my employees now. Mm-hmm. So once a week we do our own Zoom call, and then I'll put these videos up on the call. And then they're going to watch. We're going to go through every one of these courses. Like, for example, we got some patios coming up. So my employees are going to get on there, and I'm going to make sure that they go through the patio course. Mm-hmm. Because it's one thing.
So you're not just having to train them in the moment.
Exactly. Now, there's always going to be on-site training, right? It's always going to happen,
shit
right?
That happens.
But to have that other source of training as well, it just really... It really drives it home, and so between on-site and then the video training, it's going to just help out me and anybody else that's part of that group too, if they utilize that for their employees.
How big's your team now?
I've got 3 employees right now.
Nice.
So we're still very small, but I'm not trying to go big because I don't want to sacrifice quality.
Yeah, and sometimes
once you get to a point,
and it makes it harder, more stress, more.
You have to sacrifice quality. Yeah. And I'm not at that point. probably won't ever be at that point, to where I can.
Yeah. I feel like you'll know, when you got the right guy that's like doing everything to your level, you'll probably know, like, okay, I'm ready to give
We'll
him,
never find anybody that's at our level, right? Yeah. It's just unrealistic. But
do you find that hard? Close, you find that hard to like let things go, like to trust somebody else to
a point
to do what
I'm
they
still
need
struggling
to do.
with that a little bit. Yeah,
it's a hard thing.
It is, and just because this is my baby, this is my name, I'm not known to have callbacks, for things that are messed up or broke or settled or
right.
It's like the more I let go, it's like I don't.
It's hard.
It is.
I remember even like Ryan here was my first team member, and just relieving stuff to him to do, and then when we hired the next person, and he's like, then he's like, it seems just faster if I do it myself.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, it always seems like that until it's not.
Think that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's interesting seeing that even like with the team, like them like recognizing like letting stuff go is hard.
I'm definitely setting a goal for myself to delegate.
Yeah.
And pass off some of the things onto the employees to a point. I mean, there's a couple there's one that I won't pass off too much to him.
Yeah.
But there is a couple guys that already have previous experience in this industry. So now I'm going to mold them.
Yeah.
And really give them the opportunity to prove themselves.
Nice.
But in order for that to happen, I got to let go a little bit. Right. And let them make mistakes.
Right. Might have to fix a couple things.
Fix a few things, but majority of it, I mean, between the training that we're doing with the videos and then also, just the hands-on training.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have a problem.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah, figuring all that shit out is tough. Like when I got started, I didn't have like a mentor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really still don't. That's like in my industry.
Yeah.
And
have you tried to go out and look or research or?
Yeah. The problem with my industry, and maybe other ones too, I don't know. There's so many people that are so like, what do I want to say? My initial thought is to say gimmicky, but like, yeah, I don't know. I did read like a book called 7-Figure Agency. Mm-hmm. And that was nice. It was a guy that had started an agency and built it up, and I think now his newest book is like 9-Figure Agency or something. You know what I mean? 'Cause he's been doing it a while, but he has, it's a whole thing where you join, and I think you can, depending on the level, you pay, and you can get trainings from him or whatever, and the book was pretty good. A lot of it just solidified things that I was thinking that were the issues with growth.
Yeah.
Like one of the things was standardizing packages, and I had thought about that because we always customize every package to every client.
Right.
Which made it hard from a process standpoint, if every package is customized. And we still have some packages that I would call legacy clients that are on these like customized old packages. And now we're kind of at the point where it's like, fuck, I got to start reaching out to these clients and try to switch them over, because we just really have to have that standard process dialed in to continue the growth that we're on. But there was also things about it that just didn't really apply to us. Like his whole thing is like pick an industry and focus on it and be, I understand why he says that. It'd be like, okay, you're a landscaping marketing company. The problem with that is what we offer is, we offer full service, content creation, everything. So we're starting local, and I have an idea on how to take that national more. We do stuff nationally currently, but it's more limited. But his thing is pick an industry, focus on it, and market that nationally to have one person in each town for landscaping, or one person in each town for roofing.
Yep.
And I understand that, then you're not really competing against yourself. and you can cater all your marketing and your places you go. Like, he says, like, go to, like, join the whatever national landscaping and whatever. There's probably something that you could join that we could go pay to set up a booth at and all that stuff. But with what we do, we're creating the content, we're doing the video, we're doing the pictures, we're doing all that stuff. So to focus on one industry is just a hard thing to do. And then I think that also kind of limits the expansion of our knowledge to an extent. It allows you to focus on that industry and become an expert in it. But really, we try to become experts with every one of our clients on what they do and how they do it and where the opportunity is.
But is that 100% knowledgeable on all these different industries spread out across the board, or is it like 30? 50,
well, I would
60,
say it's one of those things that's over time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at this point, we've worked with so many different clients, then we have a pretty good...
kind of get a feel of it.
Yeah,
right?
we got a pretty good feel. I don't know. It's a tough thing. And
so I can kind of relate with that, how you want to be a full service, but also, like the guy was telling you, like just focus on one lane, essentially. I mean, I've been hearing that even in my industry from some of my mentors because, going back to when I first started, my list of services took up damn near the whole side of my truck.
Yeah. Did you do like mowing and shit when you first got started?
We've never done.
Okay.
Never offered that. And for the record, landscaping is not lawn mowing.
Right.
It's lawn care.
Yeah.
For all the viewers out there. It irks. It's one of those pet peeves where,
It's just like, but again, kind of like what I'm saying is like, it's like, what do we want to do? How much do we want to take on?
Now, like, year 5 now, I don't offer all that. I'm very honed back into what I used to do back when I was working for another company. We are a design build, right? It's outdoor living spaces, landscape construction, water features.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're not cleaning out your gutters. We're not, picking up leaves, and we're not doing, all this other list of services that I had when I first started, right? I honed in on three services.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's really kind of what we've tried to do with our packages. Like, we don't really do one-off stuff that much anymore.
Yeah.
Even websites, like, we'll do them, but there's a premium being charged for a one-off project, regardless of what it is. Because it's just not where the majority of our revenue comes from, and it's much, I guess you could say, easier or whatever you want to call it to have somebody on a monthly package that I can know what's coming in and plan for growth easier.
Yeah.
But 2, it allows us to help that client grow more than just doing like, oh, here's a video, and then they use it and don't get any views or whatever it may be. And that's what I thought it was going to be at the beginning. Right. Like, I thought I was just going to be doing videos for people. Yeah. And then we'd make a video and they'd be like, all right, well, what do I do with it? And I'm like, put it on your social media. Well, how do I do that? Yep. And they put it on there. I'd help them get it on there. And they're like, well, how do I get more views? Yeah. And so it was just always like, I've quickly learned that most business owners either don't have time, they don't know how, or they just plain don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it developed into the full service. Yeah. 5 years, man. That's awesome. You feel like you're really, how long did it take to feel like you really had things dialed in from managing your costs, like just understanding, like, from a business perspective, you know what I mean? More so than just like on the grind, I guess, just, all right, job, get it done,
Once I finally came up for air, so to speak, in the business, I say probably like the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
When I started incorporating software into the business, and I put everything out, all the expenses, everything out on paper. I was visually looking at it. And then some of the software that I was using as well was helping me build out a proposal correctly with the correct numbers based off of operating cost, overhead, everything else that's involved in a business.
Yeah.
So once I started incorporating that in those CRMs and the estimating tools and budgeting and all that as well, that's when I started really honing in, like, okay, I can't charge this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go broke. I'm going to be part of the statistic.
Chasing
right?
your tail,
You
or
know, I'm going to be that 5-year under business going out.
Yeah.
You know, and I refuse to be part of that.
Yeah.
That 5-year statistic. So that really, I'd say, the beginning of last year is when I started really honing in. And it's only improved throughout all of last year, and then going into this year, everything got switched over to S Corp, and then paying employees now on payroll, unemployment, workman's comp, all that stuff. So now that's my new hurdle. Yeah. That's my new learning process.
Oh my gosh, that stuff's a pain.
Oh man, does it hurt? Seeing those numbers.
Yeah. That's what I was telling my team. I'm like, whatever you're getting paid, like you can add like $3,000 to $5,000 on top of that, of what it actually costs me to pay you every year.
Oh, it's crazy.
Or more, depending.
Oh, it's crazy. And I mean, I don't know do you even have to provide workman's comp in this?
Yeah.
In this? Okay. So, and I'm sure
yours is probably more expensive.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's ridiculous.
Dealing with all the shit you deal with.
Yeah. But I mean, we got to have it. I want my guys,
How do you handle winners? Like, do you keep your team on? Do they do like
now that I incorporated, unemployment and all this, I'll put them on unemployment over the winter.
Okay.
And then obviously, spring, we'll get back at it. We don't push snow or anything like that. I cut that out as well.
Used to do it?
I did it for the first couple of years, but it's kind of like lawn care. It's just a race to the bottom.
Right.
And I'm not competing against some guy with a shovel out here underbidding everybody in the neighborhood, and I don't have commercial contracts. Like, that would be where you can make a little bit of money on the commercial contracts, but residential, it's just a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to put my trucks or my crew through all that just to
it's
make
a lot
crumbs.
on a truck.
Yeah, just to make crumbs, and then the little bit of profit you do make, you got to dump right back into your vehicles and your equipment to get them back up to par, for the season.
And it's long hours, man. You're like in the middle of the night, people are out.
Oh, it's brutal. I mean, respect to the guys that are out here doing it, but I just, like I said, when I look at the numbers, there's nothing there, at least at this point now. Now, if I was just me out here with a shovel and a plow,
right?
If I didn't have any overhead and everything, of course, I'd jump out here and get after it. But it's just not. It just doesn't make sense with our business plan right now. Yeah. So
it's kind of nice. It's interesting how that changes. How it's early on you're like, I'd take any job, do it.
Yeah, you thought, man, I thought making $3,200 off a snowstorm was money 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not shit now.
Yeah.
I mean, $3,200. That's just to start the trucks up now in the morning.
That's what I was told. So, I told my team that when we had that decent snow like a month ago or whatever. I was like, yeah damn it, that just cost me $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Nature.
Do you have a zero tolerance on your lot?
What do you mean?
So like, regardless if it's a 1/2 inch of snow or 2 foot of snow, it has to get hit.
My guy usually just checks in with me.
Okay. Because I know some properties, like, they have like a zero tolerance, like Snooks and like nursing homes.
Oh, yeah.
Places like that, or commercial, a lot of commercial.
Yeah.
Some of them have a zero tolerance. Some are like, okay, once it has like 1 inch or 2 inches of coverage, then we call.
Yeah, like he checked in with me on the last snow that we got because it was not supposed to be that big. He's like, you want me to pre-salt and all this stuff? And I was like, I'll just throw some salt down. I don't think we're going to get enough for it to matter. Obviously, it'd be nice to be at a point where it's just like, just keep this fucking thing clean. But
it'd be nice. I mean, if it's not required, though, I mean, why spend the money?
Yeah, that's where it gets tough.
Yep.
That's always weird. So, what do you do for yourself? Do you like basically set some money aside, budget for the winter months? Like, know they're coming.
Oh yeah, I gotta put my little nest egg back. I'm constantly putting it back.
That's a tough thing to monitor.
I mean, essentially, I've been doing it for 15 years anyway. Because even when I was working for the other company, we'd still have to go on unemployment.
Yeah.
At least they did offer snow removal, but you can't guarantee that. You can't count on that. So I've already been in the routine of putting money back for a lot of years, way before I even started this business.
Yeah.
So that did help. kind of train,
and
discipline
get
me
used to it.
To do that. So, but yeah, I mean,
it's always a weird challenge for business owners that are seasonal.
It is, but it also gives me an opportunity to catch up on things, let my body recover. I mean, I accomplished a lot this winter.
Yeah, that's good.
So it was a very, very productive winter outside of the field.
Yeah. I guess that's nice to think of it that way. You have a couple months
now we're at a point where we sold jobs in the fall of 24, and I'm designing them in the winter time now. And going through all the details and then gearing up and scheduling
having everything ready, product.
Yeah, we haven't even hit the ground running yet, and we're 6 months booked out.
Nice.
From stuff from last year.
Good.
So this winter definitely, was a very productive winter, just getting the designs locked down, approved, proposals put together, approved, down payments, all that, and then scheduled out. So
yeah, that's I guess that would be nice to have that time to do that. Get your taxes ready.
Oh God, that was a nightmare. That was an absolute nightmare. I screwed up some. This is another thing I found out. I'm not good at accounting. I screwed my books up so bad.
I used to. I remember doing it all myself. For a while, and when I could first afford to hire an accountant, I was like, "Oh God, thank you."
I had to break down. I actually had to let go of the one I had been using and hired a new company because it just got. Let's put it this way: my books was saying that I made $400,000 more than what I actually made.
Yeah.
In my QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So I had no clue what I was doing, and this other company went in. They went through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Fixed it all. I had to do that. My first accountant, it was a relief to get him, but then he just fucked everything up.
Yeah. Well, so far, they're doing well for me.
So who I'm with now, I finally literally just this year am ahead, and I've been getting numbers more regularly.
Okay.
And usually if I don't, it's on me. I just didn't submit my statements or something. But I had to have them go back through 3-4 years worth of shit and straighten it all out and pay for that. And it was terrible.
See, I was over here, complaining about 1 year of screw-ups.
Yeah, I got a bill that was you owe $45,000 for payroll tax.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I was losing my mind.
That should all have been taken out and quarterly, right?
Yeah, and what had happened was I was letting him handle payroll, and he basically didn't submit the payments at one point, and I knew, he told me, and then he's like, yeah, you owe this much money, so I paid it, and then there was all these fees, which he did reimburse me for. But still, now I have, the IRS, you didn't pay this, so I had to give it to my accountant. Look, I did pay it, and knock on wood, I haven't heard anything since. So I'm hoping that never comes back. Nope, you still owe $40,000.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, you don't want any type of attention from the IRS.
Yeah, hopefully they're fucking gone.
You know what? I hope Doge gets in there and really gives it to them.
Oh man!
'Cause, they're enemy number one in my book.
They make it's unbelievable that small businesses basically pay the most in taxes, but all the the state, the government make it the hardest for them. I feel like
we're the backbone of this country, man.
Craziness.
We got to keep working so we can keep on paying for everybody else.
Jeez.
Yep.
How about benefits is a challenging thing for me. Nothing pisses me off more than health insurance.
Yeah. It's all a scam.
I try to offer health insurance to my team, and the plans are just crazy. So I pay for myself right now, me and my family, $200 a month.
Yep.
For 5 of us.
Yep.
And we really don't have. We're healthy people. My kids obviously get sick and shit randomly, but it's not they're doing anything crazy.
Yep.
And actually, I'm thinking about canceling that shit and just negotiating with the hospitals directly. Mm-hmm. There was 1 year when we had a kid that year, but I did the math on how much we spent paying, the copays or whatever, all that shit you just have to pay out of pocket, and then also what I paid in health insurance costs. I spent $7,000 in insurance costs for just health stuff.
A year? Like
that was
year?
that year.
Okay.
I did, between paying my monthly fee and paying the bills that also would still come even after insurance.
Right.
And I was like, do you know how much money I could have put back in the economy? This is fucking crazy.
I haven't dove into that health insurance yet for the employees. I mean, eventually, I'm sure it'll happen. But
well, I'm lucky to lucky and unlucky, I guess, depending on how you look at it. Like, I have a lot of young people, so a lot of them are either still on parents or on something that for them it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But also because of that, like there's not like a whole bunch of people looking to sign up, which then gets you a better rate if the more people you have sign up. So it kind of screws me a little bit too.
Yeah. The vehicle insurance is what kills me right now, just because I have to not only pay for the business insurance, but then every employee that I put on that policy based off their driving record is how I get charged. So if I got one truck and I got 3 employees under that one truck and one of them has a really shitty driving record.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, rates go up.
Yeah. My insurance has never asked for employee driving records. I'm not sure why. I mean, they know that my team drives the car.
Yeah.
I actually asked about my wife one time because she was driving one of the cars for me. And I think hers was getting worked on or something. And I was like, is she covered if something happened? And they're like, yeah, if you gave her permission to drive it.
And that's what my agent told me. He's like, first time, if they're not on it, we can
eventually becomes a problem.
We can work something. But he's like, after that, you're gonna have to put them on the policy as well. So that's even though I'm not paying out a ridiculous amount for health insurance, I'm definitely paying for all the vehicles.
Yeah.
And then the employees to drive them.
Have you found it challenging to hire?
Last year, every year up until this year, yes, absolutely. It was ridiculous what I was dealing with. Like last year, for example, I think I had like 40-something applicants, and nobody was returning the calls. Nobody would answer their phone. There was some guys that were scheduling interviews, never show up. There's a couple guys that went through the interview and never showed up for their first day.
Jesus.
Just no call, no show. So that was a complete I don't know. I don't understand it. I think I was basically helping out their unemployment benefits by putting that ad out there.
Because they have to apply for jobs or whatever.
Because I was wrecking my brain. I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? I'm paying $3 to $4 an hour more than any other company locally, just starting off. So, money wasn't the secret, And I was talking with some other contractors and business owners. They're like, oh, yeah, if you put an ad out there for hiring, all you're doing is just helping out the unemployment hustlers.
Yeah.
They're applying. They have no intentions of working for you, but then they go right back to the unemployment office and be like, hey, nobody's hiring.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's your next 6 months
Here's
worth
all
of
the
benefits.
People I applied to.
Yeah, and then, you see them on Facebook, doing the whole little cash thing, balling out, on unemployment.
I feel like
money.
in the like manual labor industry, I guess is how I'd put it. Like, it seems like that's more of an issue. So what I deal with is people getting out of college and they want a job, so they apply, no experience. They want like 60, 70,000 a year. And I'm like, bro, you just got out of college. Yeah. I'm sorry you got school debt. Like, I get it. Like, you're trying to just balance out, like, being able to buy a home. Yeah. You got school debt payments. But it's like, you made the choice to go to school.
That's coming up. I mean, it's all entitled, and they don't want to work for anything.
Yeah. So it's tough.
Plus, I also feel like technology and our whole economy is, if you can't do something, there's an app for that, or there's this for it.
Right.
You don't have to actually apply yourself and learn something.
Yeah.
So that kind of plays a part in society as well.
Everybody relying on AI nowadays too.
Yeah. But to circle back to the employee issue. So like this year, well, I'd say starting like in January, put out more ads, for hiring. About damn near the same amount. I think we're like around 40 or 50 applicants and all kind of interaction. I mean, there was just people
really
begging me, after I'd already kind of shut it down. I'm like, we've got our hires, So I ended up really getting lucky and grabbing up a few guys from another landscape company that recently shut their doors. And then when I was going through that interview process with them, I asked them, I'm like, break down your installation process. And there's only like one item that is different from ours. So I'm like, cool. There's not going to be much of a learning curve,
Nice.
on this. So I got two of those guys, and then another gentleman that's been more so like on the maintenance side of the industry.
Yeah.
Coming in. So they all actually have experience to a point, which
That's
is
good.
really helpful to me because all the other former 1099s that I had, it was basically coming in green, and then having to train. But it also, I feel this year I'm attracting a higher quality of employee because I have all this content out there now, showing some of the projects,
that you're
they want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
They want to work for somebody that's putting in, cool projects.
What's been like your favorite project you've done so far? I saw you were doing a pretty cool one out on the lake, backyard for somebody.
I would say that it was actually a patio. Believe it or not, it was a patio in, I think, Williamsville. Yeah, Williamsville. And the lady, the client, I would say, she's a retired interior decorator. So she's very creative already. Excuse me. And there was a previous patio there that was a couple years old, and it had waves and dips, and it was just absolute atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave me full creative control over the next patio that was going to go in.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, this is my time to finally flex. It's been 4 years, and I've had to do a lot of this wash, rinse, repeat, just bland bullshit, essentially.
Yeah.
And I finally got that client that was like, design whatever it is you want. And I sat down with my 3D design program, put something together, sent it over to her. She said, I absolutely love it. So that one, I would say, is probably my favorite project to date.
It's got to be nice when somebody does that and also has like the budget to be able to do something really nice.
Absolutely, because it's definitely a whole different price point from doing a rectangle patio with one band.
Yeah.
That's really easy, opposed to another patio with multiple inlays, curves.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different beast, so to speak. I feel like, okay, yeah, your typical rectangle 90-degree patio, that's the wash, rinse, repeat stuff.
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess, not everybody can afford the really intricate artistic stuff, but it's nice when you do get a chance to really flex creativity, a little bit. So yeah, I would say that's so far my favorite. And then there was one out at the lake with that massive walkway.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
She ended up doing kind of the same. The only issue with that was that she was trying to repurpose pavers. And there was just pallets upon pallets that were just sitting on her property from whatever was there at some point.
Gotcha.
And she's like, I want to use these for a walkway. I tried to tell her, I'm like, man, we typically don't ever use repurposed anything. But I did find out when I was looking at them, and I talked to one of my reps, and they were actually a really good quality paver. And I'm like, okay, so this is actually a quality paver from a reputable company that I use already. But I told her, I was like, okay, if you want me to do this, I'll make one exception.
Yeah.
I have to be able to add to it.
Right.
I'm not just going to put down used pavers. So then I was like, went back to the drawing board, created multiple bands and designs and inlays within that walkway. And then she was like, okay, let's do this. So,
were they pavers that had already been there, or just ones she bought from somebody?
No, they were already on the property at one point.
Gotcha.
I think probably like a patio of some sort that got ripped out, and she didn't want to let go of them. So they just palletized them all and put them on the property line, and they'd been sitting there for years. And, they all had to get cleaned, and there was, like moss growing on some of them. I mean,
yeah.
So just the prep alone was the cost of, a couple patios.
Yeah.
Just to prep it to get it to the point, so.
Yeah, I could see that being a challenge or a pain in the butt.
It is, and there's certain things I will not do here, and I really, after the first or second year of business, I had to put my foot down. I'm like, I'm not going to repurpose. I damn sure I'm not going to use big box store material.
Yeah.
That is out the question. I'm not going to use vinyl edging. I'm not going to use the cheap DIY because, it's very common around here. I've noticed that.
Is vinyl edging, you mean like the blacks?
Yeah,
black
that
stuff?
like plastic stuff.
That's just a pain in the ass.
Which is junk.
Yeah, it just comes out eventually.
I can't stand behind it.
We have it coming out at our house right now, sticking up out of the ground.
And it's because of where we're at. We go through freeze and thaw cycles. The ground moves. It's heaving. It's settling.
Yeah.
So you put something in that's gonna move with it and not be stable. So.
At our old house, I redid the front landscaping ourselves, and man, that was a lot of freaking work. And I definitely didn't do it right. You know what I mean? I just bought some. We didn't do the vinyl because I think that's what was in there, and it was just junk. But I just bought some stones, and tried to level it out a little bit. But I didn't put like any concrete down to hold them in place or anything like that. So eventually they just kind of started getting a little jacked up.
Yeah, ground starts moving.
Oh
they
my
move
gosh.
with it.
It was a lot of friggin' work too.
Yeah,
it looked pretty nice, but the people that bought it just jacked everything up. It was crazy. We drove back by the house and we almost feel sad because it looks so bad. They just let it go. Everything go to shit.
Yeah,
there's these giant weeds that basically look like trees, and it's like, damn. I was like, I wish we would have just kept this place as a rental. It's like a perfect rental.
Yeah, that even kind of hurts. Like when we drive by a project or something that we did, and we just let it go. I'm like, damn,
how you gonna let that go? You just spent all that money on it.
It's happened. It doesn't happen very often, but there's been a few where it's like, wow, we did our thing on that one, and it was all for nothing.
I know you said you take a lot of the winter to do planning and stuff. How much, like, what am I trying to ask? Like, with your business, do you tend to do a lot of planning as far as like setting goals on like where you want to be this year or what you want to do? Like,
yep. Oh yeah, I've got a dry erase board down in my office.
Yeah.
And I write out all the goals. Yeah, for that upcoming year. Yep.
What do you find to be kind of the most challenging part of achieving those? Just getting the sales that you want or getting the opportunities?
Well, now I actually outdid my goal from last year.
Nice.
So I put what I thought was a unrealistic number on that board, and I surpassed it by about $40,000.
Nice.
So that aspect, I don't know. I'm going to set another unrealistic number.
Yeah.
I'm going to set another unrealistic number this year, or I already have it. And I want a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I want to hit this number this year. I would say some of the other goals that I have are more. I haven't achieved some of them due to time management.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out time management a little bit better, just more so like even in my personal life with the business, right? Because I do tend to. I hone in on the business and I don't think of anything else.
Yeah.
And I just, I'll be down in my office, at the house on weekends, sometimes till 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes, and I have to just, physically and mentally just be like, look, step the fuck away for a minute,
right?
Unplug.
Do you find when you're sitting there for like long periods that you're like, if you take a break, when you come back, you're like, kind of refreshed, have a different outlook on things?
No.
Really?
No, it's still, 11.
What about with designs?
Things. Designs?
Yeah, like sometimes if I'm working on a design or a website, I'll be working on it for 2 or 3 hours, sometimes more, and then it's like, fuck, I just got to step away and come back to this.
That, on the design part, yes. I've even come back like a day or two, like later, on a patio design, and it clicks.
Right.
You know, if I'm like, yes, this is it. This is the one. You know, it is a bit difficult on the design part because I do have a budget to work within.
Right.
So as much as I want to go crazy and do all this elaborate stuff and really flex, you know, on my creative side, you know, I do have to kind of bring myself back in. Like, no, this is the budget. You know.
You just try to get a budget from people.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely part of the qualifier. Like, definitely had to step that up too as well.
Do you ever design like, all right, here's something within your budget, here's something, you know, if you want to take it to the next level?
Over the winter, actually. So I was like, good, better, best, you know. And it was a patio and then like a landscape around all of the patio as well, and a fire feature involved.
Nice.
But yeah, we did the good, better, best on that. And you know, they always want the best, you know, option. But you know, if it's not financially doable, then it's just not going to happen.
With the software, it probably makes it a little easier to potentially sell that. You know, that next upgrade.
Absolutely, it is.
Get them to spend a little bit more.
Get some wheel spinning, you know. Get some wheel spinning a little bit more, you know. But yeah, like I said earlier, I've been leading with the designs, with those 3D designs in the sales process, and it's been very, very beneficial for not just us, but you know, the client as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a whole new ball game out there.
Do you do many like fire features or water features?
I love water features. I'm getting into them. So I went up to a company, Aquascape, a couple years ago and did their training up by Chicago. And that's really where I got that bug, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And came down here and I was all gung-ho, you know, trying to sell them. And I just, I don't know. Haven't got a lot of them sold.
Yeah.
But we're
probably
chipping away at it.
It's probably one of the things that people would cut. Like, you know, if you're giving them that like good, better, best. Like,
that's
all right,
funny.
If we get rid of the water feature, how much does that save?
Because I just got an approval for a project, and we added on something to the entire east side. And I was like, can I just slip in this little water feature on this line item? And they didn't take it. They took everything else, but they didn't accept the water feature.
Yeah, I could see that as a spot.
So I always try to incorporate them as much as I can. More so like the pondless water features. Just because I've also noticed like down here, there's this, I don't know what you would call it, but people think like water feature, mosquitoes, so much maintenance and blah, 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 you know. So we've pivoted and now we're just strictly pondless water features. Because they're minimal maintenance and no mosquitoes. There was no, you know. Not a lot of that extra.
Mosquitoes are always like standing water, right?
Exactly. Stagnant water. Yeah. Stagnant water is where they're at, not flowing water. There's no way for their eggs to hatch in flowing water. It just doesn't make sense. But people associate water with mosquitoes.
Right.
It's kind of strange, but
a little stigma.
I get it.
I always thought it'd be cool to have like a koi pond or something.
Yeah. And I mean, literally, it's kind of like a big landscaped area, right? You still have to maintain that.
Yeah.
And it's just like a pond. Like, yes, we'd be happy to install this for you, but just know there is maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to spend a little time on it, or you got to pay us to maintain it, you know. So it's a commitment, but they're very, very, I mean, the health benefits and the mental benefits of having a water feature in your home and even outside your home are just incredible. Yeah.
Just being able to stare at some flowing water has a zen.
It's a whole mental thing too.
Yeah.
Like it's proven, you know, it helps. And then of course, you know, you add the fish. Well, now you're caring for something, you know, and they're beautiful, you know. And
I've always thought it's crazy that they can survive like through the winter and everything, you know, if you set it up right.
Yeah, get the aerators going and maybe even look a little heater in there.
You ever seen the? I got hit with a reel one time or TikTok or something, and it was Shaq was having a koi pond installed, and they brought this fucking giant.
Oh, it was huge.
Koi fish, and I was like, damn, that thing is expensive as shit. I bet.
Yeah, there was multiple. So that was the company that I went and got trained from.
Oh, really?
That's the company that came in, Aquascape, and then what they did is they brought in a bunch of their certified contractors in on that build down at Shaq's place, and turned it into a huge,
Yeah, I bet
media
that was crazy.
and social media and content,
Yeah.
fiasco. And then he's got a massive pond on that property, and like a year or two after he had that big water feature put in up by the house, he had them all come back and turn his pond into a whole water feature as well.
Really?
On that same property.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So no, that was a very, very impressive build.
Yeah, I didn't see the one I saw. It didn't really highlight the build. I just saw this giant ass koi fish
Exactly.
they brought in.
I
think they named it Shaq or named it whatever,
and like
Diesel or whatever his nickname is.
The prices on these fish are outrageous.
Yeah.
We're talking some of them like $50,000 for one fish.
Yeah, like that big ass one was probably old as shit. It was probably
Easy.
expensive as hell.
Oh yeah. It's blow your mind how much some of these koi fish cost.
Did you ever watch that show? I used to be super into fish tanks. There was that show that was like a reality show where they built.
Yep.
What was that called? Did you ever watch that? It was called.
I've seen a couple of those episodes where they did some really outlandish stuff.
Yeah, they always went to celebrity houses and
Yep.
shit. Yeah, I used to love that show. I think they still do it. Someone
Really?
told me they still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love watching that show. I always wanted a saltwater tank, but never wanted to maintain it. I know that shit's a lot of work.
It's a lot of maintenance on those.
I was just talking to my neighbor about it. He had like a 150-gallon one he was showing me pictures of last night, actually. I was like, damn, that's the shit. So hard though, man. When if you're gone, like I took a little fish tank over to him that was like this big.
Mm-hmm.
That was just my son's fish tank that he got for, I don't know, it's like a birthday or something.
Yeah.
And just being gone, like to take care of those fish, and like took the whole tank to the neighbor's house, but I couldn't imagine with the tanked. Yeah, that is what it was called. Yeah,
Tanked.
Guys in Vegas, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd make some crazy shit.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. Yeah.
What? So you're pretty booked out for this year already, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome,
We're
man.
right about 6 months, I believe. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's go back and check.
So how many like active months out of the year are you usually doing stuff? It just depends on weather.
A lot of it depends on weather. If we can get 9 months of, work, that's a blessing.
Is it usually like when the ground starts to freeze, or when
to
you
a
usually
point.
decide to cut it off?
It's usually like if the ground is like about 4 to 6 inches frozen down, it's pointless to do anything.
Yeah.
It just turns into a lot of issues, either with the machines or employees showing up, not wanting to show up.
Yeah.
It's
a little cold out there today, man.
Yeah, but I also feel like now that I am acquiring more machinery and equipment, I'm able to go in a little bit deeper into the winter with these builds. And then, of course, the installation process that we use, it doesn't require water. So then, things aren't freezing on us.
Yeah.
We do nothing but open graded base on everything that we build. So we can put all that down in the wintertime.
What's like the most like unique feature you've had the opportunity to incorporate into somebody's project?
We did work down at Passfield House. Are you familiar with that place? And I guess the previous owner had somebody do a bunch of iron work, like iron decorations, outdoor type of things, and we ended up repurposing some old rusty, it's like a cube, but it was all made out of metal and steel, and we were able to incorporate that into the patio area now that we had just
as like a statue, or is it?
Yeah, off to the side. So if you're ever there, she basically kind of used that as like a little fire pit area, seating area.
Gotcha.
And then you have a direct shot of the Capitol right there when you're sitting on that patio. And then right off to the side, there's just this massive suspended cube with a tube that we figured out how to fabricate to where we could mount it and not have it, moving on people. And it's safe because it is an event space.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of neat just to incorporate something that was just considered junk.
Right.
And she was just going to throw stuff away. I was like, no, let's
That's
see if
cool.
we can incorporate that, you know.
So they ask you to do it, or did
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah. So we seen it, and she's like, "Is there anything we can do with this?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can incorporate it into the whole design." So
That's neat.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would say, man, let me think. Man, I don't know, a lot of projects.
Yeah.
Having to siphon through
Yeah.
mentally right now.
Blur.
Oh man, but yeah, I know what I definitely want to incorporate, and that is a lot more water features in with like a patio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool to get some people to start letting you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those water features are neat, man. It's like the rocks with just water flowing out of them, or
Oh yeah.
Waterfalls or whatever it may be. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to have creative.
I'd like to have one of those at my house someday.
Yeah, well,
One of these days when
happen.
money's not as much of an object. Maybe when my kids stop being so expensive, which is probably never.
Oh, that's not gonna end anytime soon.
Gotta work harder.
Oh man. Yeah, wait till they really start hitting all these growth spurts. Oh,
Yeah. How old's your son now?
He's 10.
10.
Yeah.
How is he? Is he like interested in what you do at all?
Yeah.
You take him out
Oh
ever?
yeah, he's chomping at the bit to become an employee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've taken him out on a few projects, and yeah, he enjoys it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, he's saying this now at 10. We'll see how he feels at 18. But I think it was like last year. He was like, "Hey, Dad, I wanna take over the business. That way you don't have to keep on working all the time." And I was like, "Oh man,
All right,
that's
sounds
solid.
good."
That's solid. Yeah. So
Yeah,
no, he's ready.
My kids are still pretty young. They come in here though. They're in here a lot of times on like Wednesdays. That's kind of my day. I watch them. That's like that is when I basically give my wife a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take them on Wednesday, so she drops them off here, and they'll spend some time here running around, distracting everybody.
Yep.
I'm like, stop distracting everybody, man. They're trying to work.
Yeah.
Costing me money.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you hope that someday that it'd be nice to see your kids take it over.
Yeah, you got to kind of play that the right way, though.
Yeah, you don't want to force it on them.
No, and you also don't want to just hand it to them either.
Right.
Um,
Don't want to make it easy.
No, I mean, I read, or I do a lot of like Audible books and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of them I was reading last month was how to hand over a business to family or your child and what not to do. And yeah, essentially they were saying like, no, just make them work from the absolute bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
And work, and don't cut them slack. Don't, no special treatment. You put them at the absolute bottom of the totem pole of your company, whatever industry it is.
Yeah.
And you make them work their way up.
Yeah.
And earn it.
For sure.
And yeah.
It's tough.
That really resonated.
I mean, we growing up, I mean, we were pretty poor, and parents always fighting about money and shit. And it's like you want to give them everything, but at the same time, you want to like make them appreciate it and not feel like they were given everything. It's a tough balance,
and especially in this era of over consumerism, we're kind of fighting uphill with that, with that type of mentality, not trying to give them that mentality as well.
Yeah. I'll make them like, if he's, like my son or daughter or something. My daughter's pretty easy, but my son always wants stuff. He always wants to buy, he wants toys, what I mean? The oldest one, and I was the same way when I was a kid. Right. So I'll be like, you want to make some money? Get the vacuum up all these little specks on the ground, just show them around. He's like, they're all vacuumed up. I'm like, I see one right there, man. You didn't vacuum shit.
So right now, my son's, he's been into books big time for the last couple of years, like really, really into books. Like he loves reading. So
that's good.
He'll, he'll ask me for some money or something for, he wants to buy this one book or whatever, a book fair or something like that. I'm like, well, you can have it, but you're gonna, you gotta earn it. You gotta do this, do that, and then I'll give him the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't ever just hand him money.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to think about how I want to handle that all the time. 'Cause like, it's even like with chores, like there's an extent of chores that they should just understand that they have to help with.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And not get paid for because they're
No.
just helping the household. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, you know, you got to give them. That's why it's kind of nice having a business because you can say, well, you want to earn some money, you can come work.
Yep.
This is just shit you got to do.
Yep.
Yeah, so I try to think about that a little bit. You know, my wife gives me shit. She's like, so, you know, just, I don't remember what the situation. Somebody was helping their kid buy a car or something. And I was like, I ain't buying my kid shit. I might help match him a little bit. Yeah. I was like, they're going to work and pay for that shit though. I mean, that's what, I
mean, it gets to the point, I'll buy him the lawnmower.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? You want to buy a car? Get out here and start mowing lawns or something, you know, or, you know, start off that way, you know, or whatever it may be. But yeah.
Did you have any jobs when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Did you do anything?
I think my very first job was at 13.
Yeah.
Official job was at 13.
Yeah. What'd you do?
I worked at a mechanic shop.
Okay.
Just changing oil and tires.
Nice.
And then he did a house painting on the side too. So I went to work for him. And before that, I mean, it was, you know, doing miscellaneous stuff around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
When it snowed, you know, shoveled, you know, driveways and things like that. But yeah, that would have been my very first job was at 13, and then been working ever since, and then out on my own at 16. So then, yeah, life got really real then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've always.
Are you from Springfield?
Worked. No, not originally.
Where are you from?
I was born in Kansas.
Okay.
But I mean, I've been all over this country.
Yeah.
So kind of bounced around a lot when I was a child, and actually Springfield's the longest I've ever been in one spot my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
How long you been in Springfield?
Been here since 2009.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
How'd you end up here?
I found out I had a sister.
Really?
Yeah. Crazy. She had well, there was a whole process before I even found out. So I think I was in Oklahoma at the time, and I got a letter. It was like Catholic Charities, and it was basically a letter stating like, we need information about you, your siblings, where you were born, your mother, your father. I thought it was kind of a little suspect, you know. So I called my other two brothers, and they said that they got the same. They received the same letter, and we're like, okay, well, Catholic Charities is a pretty legit company, you know, organization. So did my part. My brothers did their part. We sent it all back in, and I think like a month or two later, we got another letter, and it was a letter from my sister stating like, this is who I am. We finally tracked to where we all have the same mother.
Interesting.
And yeah, so I think I was fast forward, you know, I don't know how long, but I was in Kansas, and she was driving through back up here, stopped in, and it was like a really quick, like 10-minute, hey, how you doing? I'm Ben. Hey, I'm Annie. You know?
Yeah.
And then she got back on the road, and
what was that like?
It's crazy. I mean, you know.
Because how old were you at that point?
Oh, man, I was like, what, 22?
Wow.
Yeah, it's 21, 22, something like that. And so then she hit me up, and she was like, hey, come on up we'd love to have you up for Christmas. And so I came up here and met her adoptive parents, and, you know, really, really good people. And I think it was like the night before I was leaving back out to go back down to Kansas, they're like, you know, what are you doing in Kansas? I was like, you know, building warehouses, you know, living with my brother, getting in trouble.
Yeah.
They're like, why don't you just move up here? You know, spend time with your sister and get to know her and all that. So, yeah. So I came up here, I think, at the beginning of 2009.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. Been up here ever since.
Yeah, that's got to be, it's always interesting when you hear those stories about, like, you know, somebody, if they find out they're adopted and then, like, go find their original parents or whatever it may be. It's like, man, that's got to be crazy to go through.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think she ever found out who her dad was. But she was definitely able to find a record of our mom, and that's what really opened up the door. And then was, you know, they did whatever it is that they do, and they tracked down the whole family.
Yeah, that's weird. Catholic Charities was involved. Did she just, like, how's that? Do you know how that worked?
I do know the connection between Catholic Charities and her. So, you know, my mom obviously got pregnant with her way back in I think my sister's like 55 now. So, you know, do the math. And so my mom's side they were, you know, strict Puerto Rican Catholic family. And my mom got pregnant out of wedlock. And the thing to do back then was to send them up to a convent with nuns. So she had to spend her entire pregnancy up here in Springfield because, you know, she lived in Belleville.
Okay.
Which is about an hour and a half away. Well, what they did is my grandparents sent her up here to this convent during the pregnancy and then immediately gave the baby up, my sister up for adoption, and then she went back down to Belleville to go back to college.
Interesting.
So I think that's where the connection was that she was already at a convent, Catholic Charities, record. You know,
so she was probably tracking back and
tracking.
Interesting.
And of course, like her adoptive parents knew where they got her and you know how that all happened. So I think that's probably how they were able to at least get one of those crumbs on the foot, you know, on the footpath.
Yeah,
you know,
tracking things down.
But like I said, they were never able to find her father because then my dad and my mom, I believe, like had met either right after that or even during that process.
Gotcha.
And you know, there's a few rumor stories. I don't even know what's solid or not. But you know, I even heard a story like my dad was even wanting to adopt the baby, even though he knew it wasn't hers. I don't know. There's been a few stories out there that are kind of unconfirmed.
Yeah.
But regardless, you know, she found us.
Well, that's cool.
And I mean, most of the family welcomed her with open arms. There were some that were very offstandish, and it was more so like, oh, how dare you come around here and give your mom a bad name, you know, like she had you out of wedlock, you know, just really very, I don't even know the word for it right now without being a complete asshole, but you know, so
interesting.
But majority of the family, you know, welcomed her with open arms. And
family got bigger.
It did. It did. But yeah, that's how I made it up here to Springfield.
Yeah, I just heard about one of my friends who recently was contacted by a daughter that she had to give up a long time ago.
Yeah, and that was the MO back then, you know, especially like in the religious, the really kind of hardcore religious families. You know?
Or if you're really young or...
Yep, it was instantly give it up for adoption, you know, give the baby up.
That'd be hard, man.
Yeah.
I know, you know, several people my sister-in-law, she had a child pretty damn young. Yeah. I think she was like 18, something like that.
Yep.
And it's interesting though. It's always fascinating to me that the relationship, like the difference, like there's benefits to having them young, benefits to having them later. Yeah. Like there's no right or wrong path for anybody, you know, but like, you know, she's going to probably be the youngest mom around, you know what I mean, with that particular daughter. It's fascinating becoming a parent.
It is.
Figuring it out.
It's scary.
So what's next for TaylorMade, man? Any big plans? Just try to hit your goals for this year and
hit the goals. You know, just keep growing, keep building. Definitely am.
Did you ever question yourself, like when you were getting started?
Every damn day.
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. It still happens, even though I'm 5 years in.
Just trying to decide if you're making the right decision. Like, is this the right move? Is that the right move?
Especially strategizing, you know, like the next 5 moves, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm always questioning myself and then analyzing it, overanalyzing it, and then coming to some sort of a.
Did you like growing up? Did you like games? Like any kind of like were you competitive?
Yeah, I was competitive. I was in sports and all that. Soccer was like my big sport.
Yeah.
Basketball a little bit, but I played. I was active, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I've told people on my team before. I'm like, business is like a big game of Monopoly, baby, and I don't like to lose.
Yeah. And then, I think I'd mentioned earlier, like the business side of this, I'm still learning every single day. Like I was never planning to be a business owner, so I never went to college for business courses or any of this, right?
Yeah.
I was the hands-on, just get in there and get it done. So every single day is a learning experience just on the business side of things.
Yeah.
Just constantly trying to expand
it's
and
learn.
It's a lot,
and grow. That's for sure, man.
Oh, it is. It is, man. It's that's probably one of the biggest aspects of this that I question myself on, and still wake up in the morning like, am I doing the right thing, or how long is this going to last, because I mean it's wild. I just have flashbacks of driving around this city, year 1 and 2, like, how do I acquire that, or how do I get this piece of machinery, or how do I get this client, or how do I get the business to where like I'm not stressed the hell out, and now I'm in that. I've acquired a lot of the things that I was daydreaming about, just a couple of years ago. But even then I sit there and I question myself, like, how long is this going to last? Like, there's got to be there's got to be a bump in the road,
Do you ever find a challenge? Do you ever start to feel like too comfortable? Like you're like, things are good. Like,
I've caught myself a few times.
Yeah.
Not in the past, but just recently, because I was able to have enough money to make it through the winter.
Right.
And then I started last winter. I started, kind of slacking off on some of the things I needed to get done for the next season, because I had enough money set aside for the winter.
Yeah.
I wasn't stressed out. I didn't need, right? So I did catch myself a few times, and I got to catch myself and like, nope, do not get comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are nowhere near, quote unquote, made it yet. By no means. You do not have a successful company. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
Kind of psych myself. I was like, no, you do not have a successful company.
Yeah.
Sit down, focus, do what you need to do to make sure you do have a successful company.
For sure.
And then, of course, having the responsibility of being a father and taking care of, that, and then, keeping the house, that also drives me too as well. Because I'm not going to lose any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for myself, but for my family,
And you're getting married, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you. Yeah, putting on my big boy pants.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tying it up.
Yep. And she's a wonderful woman. So
yeah,
definitely.
I've only met her a couple times.
Excited.
Seems great though.
Yeah, and that she's also helped. With the business, whether she sees it or not. Just having that support system behind you.
Yeah.
And even just to kind of alleviate some of the pressures, because while there I was a single dad doing it all and running a business at the same time. And
well, it's
so
interesting too. I know with myself, before I started dating my now wife, it's very easy to get distracted.
Yes.
chasing women or going out or whatever, it's so easy to be distracted and not focused on what you need to do. And when you find somebody, it almost helps you like be a little more focused.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, and like that whole other aspect, like the single life, distractions. I didn't really experience those in that first couple of years because I was so honed in. Like I was in
you had a kid.
Desperation mode.
Yeah.
Like with the business side.
Even though you didn't have
and I didn't have time to do all this other extracurricular type of stuff. And believe it or not, like we met at a grocery store.
Really?
Of all places, So that just kind of goes to show.
That's funny. Well, how'd you meet at the grocery store?
She just I'd go through her aisle, and it was like my neighborhood grocery store that I went to.
Yeah.
My son would come and, she'd give him like stickers and stuff,
She was working there?
Yeah, she was working there and all that. And then, she had broke the ice one day and it's like, oh, you're really attractive. And I was like, well, thank you. You're
Thanks for making the first move.
Because, I'm horrible at flirting. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, she made the first move, and then like, I don't know, couple months went by, I think, and I think we'd found each other on Facebook or something like that, and then kind of I put out a little joke message or something, and she responded back a certain way. I'll say, "Oh, okay, that's what type of time we're on."
Nice, that's awesome. So, how long you guys been together now?
It's been over 4 years now.
Nice.
So, yeah. So she's definitely seen from like I said, that
almost the beginning,
Denver from the very beginning all the way through this process so far.
That's awesome.
And not only has she been there, really, really being like my biggest supporter, but she's also kicking off her business as well.
Yeah.
And so we
hairstylist, right?
Yeah, we feed off each other really well, and she does like her main forte is the makeup. Like that's where she really excels at. But of course the hair.
Where's she at?
She's over on I think she's at Hair Cuttery right now. Yeah, Hair Cuttery is based out of, but the end game is to have her own salon.
Nice.
And so bringing two business minded entrepreneur type minds together, we feed off each other really well.
Yeah.
And I help her with some of her stuff. She helps with mine, and it works very well because we're both on the same mindset.
Yeah.
And she understands the amount of work that I have to go through to get, to provide everything that we do have.
Yeah.
And she appreciates it.
That's awesome.
Deeply appreciates it. And I don't have to worry about coming home to a hellhole, in my home. I know when I step into my home, it is a safe place. It's a peaceful place, and she's created that.
Yeah.
So
it's important, man.
it's huge. Huge.
Yeah, I saw a really good video the other day. It was one of these family reels or TikToks or whatever, and it was like, obviously this isn't 100% accurate because plenty of women, like herself, work and stay on top of everything and also provide. But it was basically like the husband provides the home and the woman makes it a home type thing.
So we provide the house, they make it a home.
It was a really good little video. But again, I know that's not obviously a lot of women, especially nowadays with how expensive everything is. That's not always the situation for everybody.
Yeah.
But it was it was cool. Yeah, man, it's amazing how having that makes a big difference and being able to stay focused and do what you got to do. So,
absolutely.
Well, man, congratulations on the growth of the business.
Thank you.
And getting married and all that stuff.
Yeah, big
it's
year.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Big year for 25.
Is it this year? You guys are getting married?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be this year. So we're actually, when I leave here, we have to go to the venue. I have to sit down and hash out all the details. So
very nice. Well, congratulations, man. Thanks for coming on today. It was awesome hearing your story and digging in. And what's the best way for people to find you if they're interested in
TaylorMadeLandworks.com. Again, that's TaylorMadeLandworks.com. Everything's there, all the information. There's quote requests there to fill out, if they really want to take it to the next step. But yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Sounds good. And is that all your social too? TaylorMade Landworks?
TaylorMade Landworks on all socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I don't have an X account yet, but we'll work on that.
Well, you do a good job of, I know it's hard when you're running the business to post and still create content and stuff like that. So I know I've always noticed that you do a good job of trying to do both, which is hard.
Take time. Usually on the weekends, I try to schedule out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That way I can just not have to worry about that all the time.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate everyone tuning in. Anything else you want to throw out there?
No, just just want to appreciate do a shout out to all the clients that have hired me and all the future ones that will, and look forward to putting a lot of neat projects into the ground.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man.